With us, and here we go again. Obamacare architect Jonathan Gruber calling all of us stupid, and more than once, but it just got even more insulting. Gruber voicing over a cartoon to explain Obamacare to what he considers stupid Americans. That's right, a cartoon.
I'm Jonathan Gruber, an economist at MIT who served as an advisor for both the Massachusetts and the national health care reform bills.
Lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to get anything to pass.
We know the ACA can succeed because it's based on a successful reform in Massachusetts.
Ted Kennedy and smart people in Massachusetts have basically figured out a way to sort of rip off the feds for about $400 million a year.
It's a very clever, basic exploitation of the lack of economic understanding of the American voter.
The ACA makes affordable health care a reality for all Americans.
The American voter is too stupid to understand the difference.
And Representative Trey Gowdy joins us. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Nice to see you.
How are you?
Your thoughts about Mr. Gruber, and now he's got a cartoon to, I guess he thinks adults are so stupid. Kids aren't buying health care, but parents are. They must need a cartoon.
I prefer SpongeBob, but I did watch his cartoon earlier today. I can't get past the irony to get to the arrogance, and there's plenty of arrogance. But when an administration holds itself out as the most transparent ever, and then you confess that you have to use artifice and deception to pass your signature piece of legislation, and then you insult the voters in the process, who, by the way, threw out your party summarily a couple of weeks ago, and you're still getting public money to continue the indignities and the insults. Shame on us if we don't do something.
Well, and this is the thing that's interesting about it in his cartoon. In his cartoon, he says, in part, that he knows that the Obamacare will succeed because it's based on successful reform in Massachusetts. Massachusetts was successful because it got a $400 million grant from the federal government. The Obamacare, this nationwide health care, isn't getting a grant from anybody.
Right. I saw that today. I mean, he was bragging about essentially getting the rest of the country to pay for the Massachusetts health care plan.
And then that's the sort of the successful model.
Right. Well, there's no place our country can go to dupe somebody into giving us $400 million.
Which is why he probably thinks we're stupid if we bought that.
You know what? I think people showed that they were pretty smart a couple of weeks ago. And I think anytime you base any piece of legislation on the fact that your voters aren't going to read the bill, or aren't going, you believe they're not going to understand the intricacies of the bill, that's dangerous for a participatory republic.
So what happens? I mean, whether you like Obamacare or not, you got to hate the way this went down. I mean, nobody read the bill. It was incomprehensible. I tried to read it myself. And now you've got them admitting that they use lack of transparency to get it passed, that they think the people are so stupid that they could slick the people.
Well, when you have an insomniac with Tourette syndrome, you don't interrupt him. So we're going to let him keep talking for as long as he will talk. And then when he's through insulting our fellow citizens, then we are going, what I would recommend to the Speaker and others is have a series of congressional hearings primarily that focus on the money that we spent on him. I would love to ask him, when you apologized, did you apologize because you said it, or did you apologize because you meant it? I mean, I think he meant that we could not have passed this bill if people had been paying attention.
That undermines the democracy. I mean, I don't mind the insult's a big deal. I mean, people say nasty, rotten things to each other all the time. I'm okay on that. I mean, it's pretty arrogant what he did. But what's even more disturbing is to undermine the democratic system by being deceitful knowingly to get something passed. That's different.
But Greta, when somebody is so much smarter than we are and knows so much better what's in our best interest, and they happen to have a PhD behind their name, it's okay when they lie to us because they have our best interest in mind, and you and I just are not smart enough to know what is best for us. It is the arrogance. If I could get past the irony, I would get to the arrogance. But this transparent administration can't tell you the truth about a signature piece of legislation. That irony is just rich to me.
Congressman, nice to see you. Welcome back to
ma'am.
Washington. Nice to see you, sir.
Thank you.
And developing now, Jonathan Gruber is stepping down in Vermont. You saw it here first last night when on the record report that Jonathan Gruber has a $400,000 contract in the state of Vermont, and some not so happy Vermonters, well, we have no idea if our reporting had any impact, but news just 24 hours later, Jonathan Gruber is quitting his health care consulting job with the state of Vermont. Here's what Vermont Senate Minority Leader Joe Benning had to say about Gruber today.
When you are coming to a group of people who are paying you a large sum of money to try to have something accomplished, and you treat them with disrespect, that leads, in my eyes, to a situation where he is not going to be credible when he tries to come into the legislature to sell whatever package he develops.
And Fox News correspondent Doug McElway is live in Vermont. Doug.
Hi, Greta. Hard to tell if this decision was long in planning or if it was something that came up very suddenly. It came in the form of a telephone call from the governor's office, from the governor's point man on health care to Gruber, who said that he had become so toxic, in effect, that they could no longer work with him. Under the terms of the agreement, Gruber will no longer be finished the pay of his $400,000 contract. He can keep the $160,000 that he already earned. Unclear whether he's going to continue to work on the contract in Vermont or turn it over to his research assistants, who are paid $100 an hour, far less than the $500 an hour that Gruber made. But long before Gruber became so toxic, the health care plan in Vermont was toxic in and of itself. There have been lots of missed deadlines, lots of accusations of missed deadlines, and also of a toxic nature of the entire plan, a lack of transparency on the part of the governor. He won re-election in November, by the way, by only 1 percentage point over a no-name, poorly funded Republican candidate. Neither candidate garnered 50% of the vote. So January 8th, the legislature is going to decide who the next governor is. And it may be that the incumbent, Peter Shumlin, did not want that name, Jonathan Gruber, hanging over his head with that vote looming. Greta, back to you.
Doug, thank you. And on the record, and Fox News have been telling you about Jonathan Gruber ever since his first of many videos surfaced. So is the mainstream media largely ignoring the Obamacare architect controversy? And if so, why? Our political panel is back. Susan, to you, is Fox News making too much out of this Jonathan Gruber, or is this important?
You know, ever since this story broke, the first thing I thought of was the video of Mitt Romney and the 47%. Remember during the campaign, that secret video was revealed, and the media went crazy. It was nonstop coverage, wall-to-wall coverage of that video, and the response to the video, the reaction to the video, the poll numbers relating to the video, all the things. And this reminds me of that. We're seeing a revelation that from someone close to the administration about the health care law that appears to be a deception. In the same way people felt Mitt Romney may have been deceiving them about what he really thinks of the voters. Yet nobody is paying any attention. And this is the major health care law.
I don't think I would just say one thing. I don't think he was close to the administration on this. I think that he was the architect. What, you know, he's in the brief that's just been filed with the Supreme Court, a petition.
I mean, he is generous.
He is so thick into this.
That's the problem, is that the administration has really not been forthcoming about their relationship with him. He was mentioned frequently in a presidential campaign in 2012 because they used Gruber's involvement to deflect criticism of Obamacare, saying it was Romneycare light and that he had been the architect in Massachusetts. So what's Mitt Romney doing picking on Obamacare? He was paid $400,000, and your viewers should know that's a lot of money in this town. There are not congressional or White House staffers making $400,000. No matter
and that
how
was
much
just starters. When you add it all up,
and he was in in presidential meetings, presidential level, president present at meetings. You just don't get there unless you're influential. So the fact that Senate Democrats, House Democrats have not come to the cameras and said, we were not deceiving the American people. We did not do it that way. And I don't, and I disagree with what he's saying. We're not hearing that. And we're also not hearing from the White House, a rejection of his criticism, but an acknowledgement that he was a part of the process.
Right. According to our reports, CBS has done 4 broadcasts, NBC 1 broadcast, ABC 1 broadcast on this.
Yeah, look, I don't care if the president is from the red party, the blue party, or the green party. When the White House is caught lying about the lie and the lies, which is what's happened here, that should be a big story. And I would equate it to, there's obviously no equation between health care and a war, but if we can remember when it was found out that the Bush administration was paying ex-generals a lot of money to go on TV and sell and inflate the need for a war. It was a huge story on the front page of the major newspapers. And it was the same kind of story. It was the administration spending taxpayer money to promote its policy and to deceive. We ended up realizing we were deceived on the Iraq war. I don't know if it's because most newsrooms are a little bit to the left, so they tend to give Democrats the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if it's because of a misperception that the health care law has been settled. I think it's a misperception. I don't know if it's because Gruber was a source for so many journalists, but for whatever reason, we're missing a big story.
And panel, thank you very much. And developing right now, we have more ISIS trouble. It is about their weapons. Colonel Oliver Norris is here next. Plus, I just found something very odd. It is evidence of something that's been going on since I was in the 3rd grade. All right, the inside story about me coming up.